Can I actually find 12 cars that make modern reliability look pathetic? Honestly, when I first started putting this list together, I thought that might be impossible. After all, modern cars are incredible. They can park themselves. They can warn you when you're drifting out of your lane. Some can even drive themselves for short periods of time. They have giant touchscreens, cameras pointing in every direction, and enough computing power to make luxury cars from the 1980s look like horse-drawn carriages. So how could an old car possibly make something like that look bad? Then I started digging into the stories, and that's when things got interesting. Because while modern cars are unquestionably smarter, many of the most legendary vehicles ever built weren't trying to be smart. They were trying to survive. And survive they did. We're talking about cars that crossed 1 million miles, cars that outlived multiple owners, cars that spent decades on the road doing the same job every single day, while newer vehicles came and went around them. The more I researched, the more one thing became clear. A lot of old engineers had a completely different philosophy. They weren't designing cars around software updates. They weren't designing cars around touchscreen experiences. They weren't designing cars around subscription services. They were designing machines. Machines that could take punishment, machines that could be repaired, machines that could become part of a family's life for decades. Now, to be fair, not every old car was reliable. Far from it, some were terrible. But the 12 vehicles in this countdown earned reputations that still make mechanics smile. And modern owners shake their heads. And by the time we get to number 1, you'll hear the story of a car that achieved a mileage figure so absurd that most people assume it has to be a typo. But before we get there, let's start with a car almost everyone recognizes. A car that proved simplicity can sometimes beat sophistication. The Volkswagen Beetle wasn't fast. It wasn't luxurious. And it definitely wasn't trying to impress anyone with cutting-edge technology. What it was trying to do was provide dependable transportation. And in that mission, it became one of the greatest success stories in automotive history. If you grew up in America during the 1960s, 70s, or 80s, you remember seeing Beetles everywhere. They were parked in suburban driveways. They were parked on college campuses. They were parked outside grocery stores. They became part of everyday life. Part of the reason was affordability. But another huge reason was durability. The Beetle's air-cooled engine was incredibly simple. There were fewer systems to fail, fewer things to diagnose, fewer expensive surprises waiting around the corner. Owners quickly discovered that many repairs could be performed with basic tools and a little patience. That created something modern cars often struggle to create: confidence. People weren't afraid of owning a Beetle long-term. They expected to own it long-term. And that expectation changed everything. When owners expect a car to last, they maintain it. When they maintain it, the car lasts longer. When it lasts longer, it builds a reputation. And before long, the Beetle became known as one of those vehicles that simply refused to disappear. Stories began circulating about Beetles accumulating astonishing mileage, not because they were magical, because they were simple. Simple often gets overlooked in today's world, but simplicity is one of the most powerful reliability tools ever invented. Every component that isn't there is a component that can't fail. Every unnecessary complication removed is one less thing that can strand you on the side of the road. The Beetle understood that philosophy better than almost any car of its era. And that's why, decades later, people still talk about them with genuine affection. Not because they were perfect, because they were dependable. And dependability creates loyalty. But as impressive as the Beetle was, the next car on our list took durability to a level that almost sounds fictional. Because this wasn't a small economy car. This was a diesel sedan that became one of the most famous high-mileage vehicles in automotive history. The Mercedes-Benz W123 arrived during a period when Mercedes engineers seemed determined to overbuild everything. The company wasn't interested in creating disposable transportation. They wanted to build cars that could survive extraordinary use. And nowhere was that philosophy more obvious than the W123. At first glance, it looked fairly ordinary. Boxy styling, conservative design, nothing particularly flashy. But underneath that calm exterior was a machine engineered for endurance. The diesel engine became legendary for its toughness. It wasn't especially quick. Nobody was winning drag races in a W123. But speed wasn't the mission. Longevity was. And longevity is exactly what owners receive. One of the most famous examples belonged to Greek taxi driver Gregorios Sachinidis. His W123 accumulated approximately 2.85 million miles. Think about that number for a moment. Many people don't drive 2.85 million miles in multiple lifetimes. This single car managed it through years of relentless use. Taxi service is one of the harshest environments any vehicle can experience. Constant starts, constant stops, long hours, heavy daily use. If a car has weaknesses, taxi duty exposes them. The Mercedes simply kept going. The story became so famous that Mercedes-Benz eventually acquired the vehicle for its museum. That tells you everything you need to know. Even the manufacturer recognized it as something extraordinary. Stories like that don't happen by accident. They happen when engineering priorities are aligned correctly. The W123 wasn't trying to impress owners during a 15-minute test drive. It was trying to impress them 15 years later. And that's a very different design philosophy. Many older Americans remember a time when that philosophy was common. Manufacturers expected people to keep cars, repair cars, pass cars down to family members. The W123 came from that world, and that's exactly why it earned its legendary reputation. But if you think durability belongs only to expensive German sedans, the next car completely changes the conversation, because it proves that reliability can come from one of the most ordinary vehicles ever built. The Toyota Corolla has never been the star of automotive posters. Nobody hung Corolla pictures on their bedroom wall next to exotic sports cars. Yet the Corolla quietly achieved something far more important. It earned trust, generation after generation, year after year, owner after owner. The 1993 Corolla in particular became one of Toyota's greatest reliability success stories. This wasn't a vehicle built around excitement. It was built around consistency. And consistency is what made it special. One famous example accumulated over 1 million miles while retaining much of its original drivetrain. The owner wasn't performing miracles. He was performing maintenance. That distinction matters. Reliable cars aren't magic. They're machines that respond exceptionally well to proper care. Toyota understood something important. Most people don't need a car that does everything. They need a car that reliably does the basics. Starts every morning, gets them home every night. Doesn't empty their bank account. The Corolla excelled at those tasks. And because it excelled at those tasks, people trusted it. When people trust a vehicle, something interesting happens. they stop worrying about it. The car fades into the background of life. It simply becomes part of the routine. And that's actually one of the highest compliments a vehicle can receive. Nobody wants transportation that constantly demands attention. They want transportation that quietly works. That's exactly what the Corolla delivered. Millions of drivers experienced that reliability firsthand. And those experiences built one of the strongest reputations in automotive history. The Corolla wasn't glamorous. It didn't need to be. Its reputation did the talking. And even today, decades later, many people still use older Corollas as examples of what dependable transportation should look like. Now, if the Corolla proved that a small sedan could last forever, the next vehicle proved that a station wagon could become almost impossible to kill. And its reputation helped establish one of the strongest durability brands the automotive world has ever seen. Volvo has spent decades building an image around safety and durability. But reputations aren't created by advertising alone. They're created by products. And few products contributed more to Volvo's reputation than the 245 GL wagon. This was not an exciting vehicle. Nobody bought a 245 GL because they wanted attention. People bought them because they needed something practical, something useful, something trustworthy. And what they received was a vehicle capable of extraordinary longevity. The boxy wagon became a favorite among families, businesses, and anyone who valued function over fashion. Its design was refreshingly honest. No unnecessary drama, no exaggerated styling, just a sturdy machine built to do a job. Fleet operators quickly discovered something remarkable. These wagons could absorb punishment, long distances, heavy use, harsh conditions. They kept going. That ability to survive commercial use is significant. Fleet vehicles live difficult lives. They don't receive special treatment. They don't get pampered. They work every single day. When a vehicle earns respect in that environment, it usually deserves it. The 245 GL earned it. Owners discovered that proper maintenance was often enough to keep these wagons operating for astonishing periods of time. That reliability created emotional attachment. And emotional attachment is something many modern vehicles struggle to inspire. People didn't just own old Volvos. They depended on them. They trusted them. They built memories around them. Family vacations, school runs, road trips, moving days. The car became part of the story. And when a vehicle becomes part of people's stories, it stops being transportation. It becomes something more meaningful. That's exactly what happened with the Volvo 245 GL. And the next vehicle on our countdown takes that idea even further. Because we're about to talk about a car whose owner turned reliability into automotive history. The Volvo P1800 was never supposed to become one of the most famous reliability stories ever told. When people first saw it, they noticed the styling. They noticed the elegant lines. They noticed that it looked more like a grand touring car than a mileage champion. But appearances can be deceiving. Beneath that attractive body was one of the toughest mechanical packages Volvo had ever produced. And then along came a schoolteacher named Irv Gordon. If you spent any time around car enthusiasts, you've probably heard his name. If not, you're about to understand why. Irv bought his Volvo P1800 new and did something that sounds almost impossible today. He kept driving it, and driving it, and driving it. Not for a few years, not for a decade, for decades. Most people measure ownership in years. Irv measured it in millions of miles. Think about what that really means. Entire generations of vehicles came and went while he continued driving the same Volvo. Manufacturers redesigned entire product lines. Technology changed. The world changed. His Volvo kept going. What makes the story even more remarkable is that there was no secret formula, no magic trick, no hidden technology, just disciplined maintenance and an exceptionally well-engineered car. Irv treated maintenance as an investment rather than an inconvenience. Oil changes happened when they were supposed to happen. Problems were addressed before they became disasters. The car was respected, and in return, it delivered one of the greatest reliability achievements ever recorded. When people hear that a vehicle exceeded 3 million miles, they usually assume something is missing from the story. Surely there had to be multiple engine swaps. Surely there had to be complete rebuilds every few years. Yet, the reality remained astonishing. The car's durability became undeniable proof of what happens when engineering and ownership work together. The P1800 also represents something many older Americans remember fondly. There was a time when keeping a car for decades wasn't unusual. People built relationships with their vehicles. They knew every sound, every vibration, every little personality trait. The car became familiar, comfortable, trustworthy. Modern ownership often feels different. Many people lease vehicles, trade them in quickly, move on before they truly know them. The P1800 came from another era, an era where longevity mattered, an era where durability wasn't just expected, it was celebrated. And that is why this Volvo became far more than a car. It became a symbol of what automotive engineering can achieve when durability sits at the top of the priority list. But as incredible as that story is, our next vehicle proves something many people still find surprising. Luxury and durability don't always have to be enemies. The 1983 Lincoln Town car looked like the American dream on four wheels. Long hood, massive trunk, soft seats, comfortable ride. The kind of car that floated down the highway like it had all the time in the world. At first glance, it doesn't seem like the sort of machine that would become a reliability legend. Yet, that's exactly what happened. The town car was built during an era when American manufacturers still understood the value of simplicity in large sedans. Underneath the luxury was a sturdy body-on-frame platform. That construction method wasn't glamorous. It wasn't trendy, but it was durable. Very durable. The large V8 engines powering these cars weren't highly stressed. They weren't trying to squeeze every ounce of performance out of every drop of fuel. Instead, they operated comfortably within their limits. And engines that aren't constantly pushed to the edge tend to last a very long time. Owners quickly realized something. These cars could absorb miles, lots of miles, highway miles, commuter miles, taxi miles. The town car became particularly popular among professional drivers because it combined two qualities that rarely appear together: comfort and longevity. Passengers loved riding in them, drivers loved owning them. That's a powerful combination. Some examples accumulated mileage figures that would surprise people who assume luxury vehicles are automatically fragile. The town car challenged that assumption. It demonstrated that comfort doesn't necessarily require complexity, and complexity is often where reliability problems begin. Many older Americans still speak fondly about these cars because they represented a particular kind of automotive philosophy. Big, comfortable, honest, durable. The town car wasn't trying to impress anyone with technology. It was trying to provide a pleasant driving experience while remaining dependable, year after year, mission accomplished. And speaking of dependability, the next vehicle wasn't designed around comfort at all. It was designed around work, hard work, the kind of work that destroys weak vehicles and exposes every flaw, which is exactly why its reputation became so impressive. The 1991 Chevrolet Silverado 2500 earned respect the old-fashioned way, by showing up every day for years. Ask anyone who grew up around farms, construction sites, workshops, or small businesses, and they'll tell you something important. A work truck doesn't need to be beautiful. It doesn't need to be fashionable. It needs to be reliable. Because when a work truck breaks, productivity stops, money stops, everything stops. The Silverado understood that responsibility. This generation arrived with a combination of proven engines, rugged construction, and mechanical simplicity that owners immediately appreciated. The truck wasn't trying to reinvent transportation. It was trying to be useful, and useful vehicles often become legendary. The small block V8 engines developed reputations for durability because they were straightforward. Parts were available, repairs were manageable, knowledge was widespread. Almost every mechanic understood them. That matters more than many people realize. Reliability isn't just about avoiding failures. It's also about recoverability when failures occur. The Silverado excelled in both areas. Stories began appearing about trucks crossing incredible mileage milestones while continuing to perform daily duties, hauling equipment, pulling trailers, transporting materials, doing exactly what trucks are supposed to do. One of the reasons older trucks inspire such loyalty is because they become partners. People depend on them. Families depend on them. Businesses depend on them. When a vehicle proves itself under those circumstances, it earns a level of trust that advertisements can never manufacture. That's exactly what happened with the Silverado. And it's why so many enthusiasts still view these trucks as some of the best workhorses America ever produced. Now, before we continue into the top half of our countdown, take a second to think about something. How many vehicles today do you genuinely believe will still be working hard 30 years from now? It's an interesting question, because every vehicle we've discussed so far has already answered it. If you're enjoying this journey through automotive history, make sure you're subscribed. MotorVault is dedicated to uncovering the stories behind the machines that shaped car culture, engineering, racing, and everything in between. And trust me, some of the stories still ahead are absolutely incredible, because the next truck on our list proved that durability didn't disappear when the automotive world entered the new millennium. The Ford F250 Super Duty has always occupied a special place in the truck world. It wasn't built for light duty. The name tells you everything. Super Duty. This was a machine designed with serious work in mind. Heavy loads, long distances, demanding conditions. The 2006 model became particularly respected among owners who needed reliability as much as capability. That's a crucial distinction. Anyone can build a powerful truck. Building a powerful truck that remains dependable for hundreds of thousands of miles is much harder. The F250 managed both. Owners who accumulated enormous mileage often reported the same thing. Consistent maintenance made a tremendous difference. But maintenance alone doesn't create durability. The foundation has to be there. The engineering has to be right. The truck has to be capable of accepting that maintenance and rewarding it. The F250 did exactly that. One of the reasons heavy-duty trucks often last so long is because many components are designed with substantial safety margins. They're built to handle demanding workloads. When those workloads are managed properly, longevity becomes possible. And in some cases, extraordinary longevity becomes reality. That's why stories of high-mileage Super Duty trucks continue circulating years later. They aren't myths, they're evidence. Evidence that durability can still exist when manufacturers prioritize it. The truck also benefited from a loyal owner community. Knowledge was shared. Problems were discussed. Solutions were documented. That collective experience helped keep many examples operating long after skeptics expected them to disappear. And that brings us to a vehicle whose reputation became so legendary that it transcended normal automotive discussions entirely. The Toyota Hilux isn't just a pickup truck. It's practically folklore. There are very few vehicles in automotive history that have become famous among people who don't even care about cars. The Hilux is one of them. Its reputation escaped enthusiast circles years ago and entered popular culture. And once you understand why, it's easy to see how that happened. The Hilux earned its reputation in some of the harshest environments imaginable. Remote locations, rough roads, extreme climates. Places where reliability isn't merely convenient, it's essential. In those environments, a vehicle either works or it doesn't. There isn't much room in the middle. The Hilux consistently proved that it worked, again and again, year after year. What made it so special wasn't some revolutionary piece of technology. In fact, it was almost the opposite. Toyota focused on durability, serviceability, and mechanical simplicity. The formula wasn't glamorous, but it was effective. And then came the moment that introduced millions of viewers to the Hilux legend. A famous televised torture test pushed the truck through an astonishing series of challenges. It was abused, submerged, damaged, dropped, punished in ways no reasonable owner would ever consider. Yet somehow it kept coming back. The reason that demonstration resonated so strongly wasn't because people expected the truck to survive. It was because they expected it to fail, and it refused. That refusal became part of the vehicle's identity. Owners around the world already knew the truth. The rest of the world was simply catching up. Stories from Africa, Australia, Asia, South America, and rural communities everywhere reinforced the same message. If you needed transportation in a place where reliability mattered most, the Hilux deserved consideration. That's an extraordinary reputation for any vehicle to achieve. And it wasn't built through advertising. It was built through experience. One owner at a time, 1 mile at a time, one difficult journey at a time. The Hilux became proof that toughness doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes the strongest machine is simply the one designed to keep working no matter what happens around it. And while the Hilux became legendary for toughness, the next vehicle became legendary for combining toughness with versatility. Because if there is one name that consistently appears in conversations about long-term durability, it's the Toyota Land Cruiser. For many enthusiasts, the Land Cruiser isn't just an SUV, it's a benchmark, a measuring stick, the vehicle against which countless others are judged, and there's a good reason for that. Toyota approached the Land Cruiser differently. From the beginning, it was designed for environments where failure wasn't acceptable. Remote locations, unpredictable terrain, long distances between repairs. The engineers understood that durability wasn't optional, it was the entire mission. That mindset influenced everything. The chassis, the drivetrain, the suspension. the overall philosophy behind the vehicle. Owners quickly realized they had something special. The Land Cruiser wasn't merely capable, it was dependable. And dependability creates loyalty faster than almost anything else. Many families bought Land Cruisers expecting to keep them for years. Instead, they kept them for decades. Stories of 300,000 miles became common, then 400,000, then 500,000. Eventually, those stories stopped sounding unusual. They simply became part of the Land Cruiser reputation. Around the world, these vehicles earned respect in places where mechanical weakness is exposed immediately. Deserts, mountains, rural communities, expeditions, work sites. If a vehicle survives in those environments, people notice. The Land Cruiser didn't just survive, it thrived. One reason older Americans admire vehicles like this is because they represent a philosophy that feels increasingly rare. Build it once, build it properly, let it last. That philosophy resonates with people who remember when products of every kind were expected to have long lives. Not just cars, appliances, tools, equipment. There was pride in durability. The Land Cruiser captured that spirit perfectly. And that's why even decades-old examples continue commanding respect. Because reliability isn't just a specification, it's a reputation. And few vehicles have earned a stronger reputation than the Land Cruiser. Now, we're entering the final stretch of our countdown. And our next vehicle proves something many luxury manufacturers have spent decades trying to achieve. It proves that refinement and durability can coexist. The Lexus LS400 changed the automotive industry. That isn't an exaggeration. When Lexus introduced the LS400, competitors immediately understood that something important had happened. This wasn't simply another luxury sedan, it was a statement. A statement that exceptional quality, exceptional refinement, and exceptional reliability could exist in the same vehicle. For many buyers, that combination felt almost unbelievable. Luxury cars had traditionally required compromises. You accepted higher maintenance costs. You accepted occasional headaches. You accepted complexity. The LS400 challenged those assumptions. Toyota's engineers approached the project with extraordinary attention to detail. Every system was scrutinized. Every component was evaluated. Every opportunity for improvement was considered. The result was a car that felt remarkably solid from day one. But the truly impressive part came later. Years later, decades later, owners began discovering just how durable these cars really were. The V8 engine became legendary. The overall build quality became legendary. The ownership experience became legendary. Stories emerged of LS400s accumulating mileage totals that many luxury vehicles never even approach. And unlike some high mileage stories, these weren't tales of constant repairs and heroic efforts. Many owners described the cars as surprisingly straightforward to live with. That's where the genius of the LS400 becomes obvious. It wasn't merely reliable for a luxury car, it was reliable, period. That distinction matters. The LS400 didn't ask owners to lower their expectations. It exceeded them. And in doing so, it created one of the strongest reputations in automotive history. Even today, enthusiasts continue searching for clean examples because they understand what these cars represent. A moment when engineering discipline, manufacturing quality, and long-term thinking align perfectly. And yet, despite everything we've discussed so far, one final vehicle remains. A vehicle so respected for durability that it became one of the defining symbols of old-school automotive engineering. the Mercedes-Benz W123. If you ask mechanics, collectors, taxi drivers, and longtime enthusiasts to name one of the toughest passenger cars ever built, the W123 almost always enters the conversation. And that's not by accident. The W123 arrived during a period when Mercedes-Benz was obsessed with engineering integrity. The company wasn't focused on creating disposable transportation. It was focused on creating machines that could withstand years of use. The result was a vehicle that quickly developed a reputation for extraordinary longevity. Owners discovered that these cars seemed almost reluctant to wear out. The diesel versions became especially famous, not because they were fast, not because they were exciting, because they were relentless. Mileage accumulated, years passed, the cars kept going. Around the world, W123s became workhorses. Taxi fleets adopted them. Families depended on them, businesses trusted them. And trust is earned, not given. The W123 earned it through consistent performance over long periods of time. Even today, decades after production ended, many examples remain on the road. That's remarkable. Not because old cars surviving is unusual, because surviving while still being useful is unusual. Many old vehicles become weekend toys, garage decorations, occasional nostalgia machines. The W123 often remained transportation, real transportation. Transportation people relied on. That practical usefulness is part of what makes its reputation so powerful. It wasn't merely durable in theory. It was durable in reality. And that's a difference every car enthusiast understands. Which brings us to the biggest lesson of this entire countdown. When we look back at these 12 vehicles, one theme appears again and again. None of them depended on giant touchscreens. None of them depended on endless software updates. None of them depended on complicated technology designed to impress buyers during a brief showroom visit. Instead, they depended on something much simpler: thoughtful engineering, reasonable complexity, durable materials, and a commitment to longevity. That doesn't mean modern cars are bad. Far from it. Modern vehicles are safer, more efficient, and more comfortable than ever before. But these 12 legends remind us of something important. Durability deserves respect. Reliability deserves respect. And building a machine capable of serving people for decades is still one of the most impressive achievements in engineering. Because at the end of the day, reliability isn't measured by brochures. It's measured by time. It's measured by miles. It's measured by the confidence owners feel when they turn the key and expect the vehicle to start. These cars earned that confidence. That's why we're still talking about them. That's why their stories continue spreading. And that's why they make modern reliability look a little pathetic by comparison. Now, I want to hear from you. What is the most reliable vehicle you've ever owned? Maybe it was a truck. Maybe it was a family sedan. Maybe it was a car everyone else underestimated. Share your story in the comments below, because some of the best automotive stories come from real owners. And if you enjoyed this journey through some of the toughest vehicles ever built, make sure you subscribe to MotorVault. We've got plenty more unbelievable automotive stories, forgotten legends, engineering masterpieces, and incredible moments from car history coming your way. And before you leave, I've got one more story waiting for you. Check out my last video, The Genius Ferrari Loophole That Forced New Rules. It's the fascinating story of how Ferrari discovered an advantage so clever that racing officials eventually had no choice but to respond. Click on that video now. I think you're going to love it. I'll see you there.